A very good afternoon, everyone. Uh, First of all, thanks to Education 2.0 for giving this wonderful opportunity to me to be here and address such a awesome, august, and scholarly audience. And we are here after a good lunch. I hope all of you enjoyed your lunch. Wow, and I love this energy. Despite the awesome lunch and the scrumptious spread that we were offered, you all seem to be wide awake, full of energy, full of enthusiasm, and that's awesome. And I know what is the reason behind it. Because I have connected with a lot of you one on one. And one thing that I've seen in almost everyone is that fire and the desire and the spark to learn and grow. And it is the fire and desire to learn and grow that takes us from one destination to the next to the next. And today, we will be discussing this topic that the engines and the catalysts of learning and development, our schools and the colleges and the universities, are they doing enough to prepare our students for the real world challenges? Or do they need to include soft skills in their curriculum? And ladies and gentlemen, I have some extremely talented, knowledgeable, and experienced panelists with me. And they carry a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and from very diverse backgrounds, and they will share their challenges with you. They will share what works, what doesn't. So I would like to invite my fellow panelists to join me up here on stage, please. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hand together to Ms. Bitoon Al-Mashood, Angela Podolsky, Aprilia Sati, Nazal Artin, and the one and only gentleman with us, with the biggest smile. We have with us Andrew Ardianto. Thank you so much. So soft skills as against hard skills. The hard skills which actually prepare us with the professional skills and train us in those core competencies, in those core subjects like physics, chemistry, maths, biology, psychology, medicine, law, everything. So they make the students competent in that particular subject. But when a student actually steps out in the real world, the situation demands him or her to show certain characteristics like problem solving, critical thinking, out-of-box thinking, trying to find solutions to real problems, and then persuading other people that the idea that they have actually works, even when nobody believes in them. They still believe in themselves and carry the fight on. To bring everybody on board, negotiate with them, have a conversation with them. If there are conflicts, resolve them, and then keep moving on, keep working with the team. So to be able to work with the team that is not your dream team, something that you thought would be there in front of you. So working against all the odds and still surviving and striving. And that's what is required. And these skills are essentially behavioral skills or human skills. And we call them human skills because these are the skills that distinguish us from other species. These are the skills, when we face different crises, adversities, these are the skills that we could use to exist even when other species which were more powerful than us became extinct. And we are again at a time when the crisis and the challenges are happening, the changes are happening at a phenomenal speed, much more than we can anticipate. And we are grappling with issues which we had never thought before, like the geopolitical tensions that we are experiencing right now, and the pandemic that we're still experiencing, and we are, fighting and surviving. So these are the challenges, and then we have all spoken about digitalization. And you know that with the digitalization and the machines complementing us, by 2030, 30% of our work time will be taken over by machines, which means all the repetitive and the theoretical work that's been happening will be done by machines, and we will and 2/3 of the skills will actually be soft skills based, and that's as per Deloitte's one of the recent surveys. And that means that by 2025, 50% of the workforce will have to really reskill themselves. Now, with all of this going on, are our institutions, our colleges doing enough? We have to ask this question, and do we need to bring soft skills in that space? So I would like to invite all my panelists to introduce themselves. But before that, a little introduction about myself. My name is Preeti Dubey. I run a boutique soft skills consultancy and training company based out of Singapore. We have trained people across Asia Pac, US, and the UK. And I'm here to explore new horizons here in Dubai. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite my fellow panelist, Toon, to kindly introduce herself and share her initial comments about the topic.
Thank you so much for this introduction. Hey everyone. So my name is Fatoun Al-Marshoud. I am a forensic medicine resident, a doctor, recently graduated. I also do run an event management company, F2M Event Management, for about 3 years now. I'm also a published author. So my initial thoughts on this subject, it is a really crucial thing that we include soft skills on the curriculum. Me, myself, as a graduate from medical school, I can see a lot of the doctors nowadays, and you people can see that most of the turnover from patients is because doctors lacking the soft skills. So a lot of the valedictorians, they cannot even initiate a conversation. You would ask them a simple question, you would throw in them a simple problem, a real life problem, something that you face in everyday life, they cannot answer you or they cannot engage in the conversation. So they do have some of it. They obviously have the empathy, they obviously have the problem solving, the time management, but they do lack the most important fundamental ones, and they do not work on them. Even so, having said that even the universities nowadays, most of them, they just rely on the grades and grades only. They don't care whether you speak well, they don't care whether you work your way through speaking, they just care whether if you did well on this assignment, if you did well on this test, then you're gonna graduate. There's no actual preparation for the outside world or for the everyday living. So yeah, that is. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for sharing your perspectives as a doctor. I would now like to invite Nazil.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Nazla. I was born by Asian Seacoast and then moved to US in 1999. So for the past 15 years, I've been working in organizations, global organization as a HR professional. And for the past 2 years, I am on a mission to raise self-awareness through my nonprofit organization. And I strive for a world where everyone find their true purpose and define their life to thrive. And I think that's why I think this topic is so important. I think we need to help students, our children around the world to discover themselves, understand what they are good at, being honest to themselves so that they can understand what is good work that they want to do in their life. They don't really separate life from work because they're all together. And once they get to know themselves, they are going to be able to make the right choice. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nazli, and that's wonderful that you have a mission that that inspires you, and I'm very glad that you're here with us, Nazli. I would now like to invite Aprilia. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Aprilia. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm a lecturer in a University of Aerospace in Jakarta. It's a university, it's higher education with vocational program. And also I teach and I design a program for high school, informal high school in Indonesia. The advantage of informal school is we can make curriculum more flexible and can adapt on every place in Indonesia. I believe that soft skill should be cover knowledge and skills, soft skills and hard skills, and also what can I say? Attitude, yes, attitude and knowledge and skill, and this should be included in formal school curriculum because we perform soft skill by studying or by doing our daily activity. I think that. Thank you.
Thanks for your opening remarks, Aprilia, and we really will dig further to understand more from you. Andrew, kindly introduce yourself and your initial comments, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew and I run a training company specializing in personality development and communication. Okay, I've been in the business of human resource development for almost 20 years now. So as for my initial statement, I would like to address your statement about how soft skills actually differentiate us from the other species. Do we know that nowadays a lot of humans, like gorillas communicate better than humans nowadays, because they have better communication skills, even though using body languages, they have better leadership. But these days, for me, it's time for us humans to take those soft skills back from the other species.
That's interesting.
Okay, so that's why I believe that the implementation of soft skills in every field, not just education, but in every field is important, because we humans communicate, we humans connect to one another. If you ever heard the term, there was a term that was mentioned a few years ago, disconnect to connect. Why don't we just connect to connect? With the digital world, we are able to connect to one another. Why don't we just connect digitally to connect with many more people and communicate with more people? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, go ahead, please. Absolutely. Now, Angela, please introduce yourself.
Okay, you're in business now.
Absolutely.
I love the segue, actually, the fact that you said animals have more body language. So my name is Angela Podolsky, and I specialize in nonverbal communication. I work with people and companies in understanding how they communicate and how to read others. First and foremost, it always starts with you, understanding your own communication. And then after that, you can go into learning how to read others. And it's true. Today, I would say our communication skills is so poor that it's actually sad, as my fellow panelists said here, because we don't really work on it. When do we ever work on our communication skills in schools or in work? So then I have executives in companies calling and say, we need to work on our communication skills. Our teams don't communicate with each other. I'm like, okay, let's take a look at it. And then what happens, they look into writing skills, but that's not the skills to actually learn how to communicate. So we have to do a shift, not just in companies to learn how to communicate, not how to write to send the right email, but actually learn how to communicate properly through all the channels of communication that we can discuss after. And then we also have to educate our kids how to communicate properly, because communication happens at school, between peers, at home, with marriage, with your finances, there's a communication even. So there's always communication, and learning how to do just written and verbal communication is not enough. And yes, there are universities that do contact us to do that with them and partner, especially with the technology side, because obviously the gap on the technology side is really big, but it's really, really lacking.
Thanks a lot. I think everyone has made a case that soft skills are important. It is indeed lacking, and we need to do something about it. And most of all, we need to do something for the educational institutions because they are the one who actually build the character, they build the capabilities in the future generation, and not just the future generation, they are going to be our future. So it's something that's of all of our concern. I would like to, put my first question to Toon. She is the youngest here, and she has, at such a young age, this young lady has already authored a book, and she's a doctor, and she has also, she wears various hats. So I want to ask her, when you stepped out of the university, how well do you think the university prepared you? What were those gaps? What are your thoughts on that?
For the university to prepare me for real life, it didn't, to be honest. It didn't, not at all. It prepared me how to solve problems, how to study an entire chapter in 2.5 hours and skim through the entire curriculum in just half an hour before the exam. That's what it did really taught me. There was some team working. There was the fundamental building of the team working and all of that. That has been taught in universities and college, but not as extensive as the real world. So, for example, when I first got my first job, or when I first got out of the university, I got a part-time job. So I used to study at morning and then have a part-time job at night. And I used to see all of these people and wonder, how do they interact? What is going on? Is that how the real world is working? Yeah. So there was a lot of communicating. I saw a lot of people getting jobs, not because of their diplomas, not because of their certificate, but just because of how well they can speak and just because how well they can interact with the other person. So that was a shock for me. I was like, this is not life. So we were taught that you're supposed to study and then go to university and then get a job. Yeah. And then afterward, you're saying that people can get a job just by communicating well with people. So after a couple of years, I started to notice people around me, my classmates. I started to notice who are the ones who actually got an experience in the real world, who got a part-time jobs, who communicated with different aspects of people, who talked to the janitor, to the manager, to the CEO. You can tell who are these people are, and you can spot them once they start speaking. So there's a saying that says, speak so I can see you. And it is true, actually. So a lot of people whom I've communicated with, a lot of people who I interacted with, I did business with as a co-founder of an event management company. We do a lot of networking. A lot of them have no idea what is my background. And I'm happy like this. I don't like to introduce myself as this and this and this and that. I'd like to speak with the other person and see what are they going to do and see how are they going to interact with me. In order for this, I might see if I'm going to network with them or not. So I don't go around just saying my background and what do I do, because a lot of people are going to get the misconception that doctors are like this. Tech people are in the doormat, they're just working on their laptops. Math people are just geeks. A lot of people get this perception. But the soft skills, it's really important, it's really fundamental in the real world. So when you get out every day, from the moment you open your eyes until the moment that you close them, you're actually networking with people and you're using the soft skills. So a lot of people do not understand what the empathy is. For example, a lot of the medical student, when they tell them you have to empathize, they're like, why? I mean, I swear once I got into a patient and there was a student with me and she jumped to the computer to read the patient file. And she was like, he has an amputated leg. And I'm like, yeah, the right one. She's like, how did you know? It's not in the file. I'm like, look at the patient. He's literally lying. He's lying right there. She took a glimpse at the patient. Just look at the patient. You can see that it's the right leg. Yeah. So a lot of people are lacking this. We're just in a world in university where you have to ace it. You have to be the best in everything. I remember walking one day to one of my teachers and saying, okay, look, I don't want to be an A student. I'm fine with this. I don't want to be an A student. I want to be a B student, and I want to have a life. I want to be able to communicate with other people. I want to be able to, no one is going to care how much did you score in university. no one in 10, 15 years, no one is going to care or even remember what university you graduated from. They're going to remember the things that you did. You are going to remember the things that I did. So looking now, I see that I've taken a long way in a long run that people are already trying to take by working a part-time job, by interacting with people, by actually initiating a conversation. It's not necessarily that I'm gonna benefit something from the person who I'm talking with. It's just the pleasure of talking to another human being, the culture, the exploration, the traveling, the meeting different people. This is what actually builds your soft skills. You can get it, you can learn it. It's not an inherited skill. You can definitely learn it, and you're gonna keep learning it, and you're gonna keep enhancing it throughout your life. You're not gonna ace it, of course. But this is where you get the core of it. When you interact with people, when you look at people, even just observing people, you can you can take a glimpse at some of the soft skills.
Thank you so much. I mean, how many people have met with a doctor who speaks with such eloquence, connects with people, and most of the time I have, yeah. One, I don't like to meet a doctor, and if I meet a doctor, there are very few whom I like to meet the next second time. And she is one person who has actually understood the limitation of the universities, or because it only emphasizes on results in just doing the thing and getting it done as quick as possible, scoring something out of it and not focusing on the interaction. So you worked on it and you got it. So I believe that if the universities and the colleges, they focus on that, they could probably do that. Now I have a very interesting woman sitting next to me, and like she said, she is on a mission of self-awareness, generating self-awareness, and that is the biggest skill that we need to have. And I will not steal her, what her thoughts are, because I just love what she said. I want to know from her, what does she think that, by developing self-awareness, for example, at schools, among the students, would they be able to understand their needs, their wants, their desires, their strengths better? And would they then, in turn, accomplish their dreams and be higher achievers? What are your thoughts, Nancy?
Thank you so much for the introduction. Well, I did not have the self-awareness until 2 years ago, so it's not that easy. Although the question that we ask ourselves, it's an easy questions, but it takes some time. And I think for our students and for our children, like I said, it is so important for them to discover themselves and understand their natural strengths before really focusing on the soft skill list that we can get from Google, right? We can say and we can pick. I was like, okay, I would love to, be, skilled on this and that. But what about you, who you are, and how can you just, bring your self-awareness? And I believe to focus on that first, that will leverage, their soft skills. That is going to be leveraging, what they want to achieve in life. That is going to be, there's going to be the, definition of success, in their life. I've been working in corporate world for the past 15 years, like I mentioned. So what we are missing in the organization, when we are hiring people, when we're trying to develop leaders, we just don't understand what they're good at, what we think that they should be doing. But imagine the world that, when we are more self-aware, when we are actually more able to design our career and their life, I think things are gonna make us much happier. I want to go back to college. I want to go back to high school. I want to go back to when I was 6 years old. I want to understand why I was playing, with the things that I was playing. How can I actually describe myself? When they ask me who you are, then I wouldn't really say I'm a project manager in X company. That's not who I am. So when we are preparing our children, our students, it is so important to just for them to discover themselves. And I think once we do that, it is so critical. I have a lot of examples, but I work with students at the universities, and 85 to 90% of the students, they are not really passionate to do things that they're studying at school. They're gonna do, like another one. Like I talked to someone who was studying international finance. And when I did some work, like the models that I introduced, through my nonprofit organization, She wanted to become a filmmaker. She said, if I want to be the worst filmmaker in the world, I don't care. That is going to make me happy. So I think one of the things that I have seen myself, discovering myself and bringing that awareness to people, it just became my passion, my mission. And then once you discover yourself, I think it will be much easier to actually give the recipe of happiness for people to actually find the right path. It's really, really helping them to find their own journey. I think once you do that, they're gonna come with the soft skills. I think those soft skills, it is going to help them to achieve their goals in life.
Thank you so much. When you're passionate, you know your desires and everything is aligned, that's how you glow with your accomplishments. So thank you so much. Would now the lady sitting next to me, Aprilia, she's a very accomplished woman and she teaches subjects like astronomy and, yeah, and sorry? Physics as well, right? Now she teaches those subjects. I want to understand from her, do you think, in these technical subjects, how much emphasis is there on soft skills? And is it required to include that so that, the students are better prepared for the real world scenario?
Thank you. Since we know that soft skills are, I speak English not much as you are, so I try to speak faster.
It's okay.
Yes. Soft skills are performed in every activities we make. So I think when we are teaching every matter, we teach physics or language or everything, it must be included by learning outcome of soft skills. Yes, technically we can make an objective for every subject. Does students listening or communicating well, or does student collaborate well, or they are discuss like that? We include it in curriculum. We include it in learning outcome for every subject, because when a person applied or interviewed for a job, their soft skills sometimes appear, but when they are working for 5 years or 10 years, it put into a test. When we teach soft skill from earlier, so it become a habit. It became a habit, so it will long lasting for any test in their job. And the best soft skill we can deliver is we can teach is long life learning. When we teach long life learning, they can learn everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Lifelong learning is the way forward. Now, I would like to put my next question to Angela. She is an expert in non-verbal communication, and everybody knows the role of communication and soft skills. She works with professionals. And have you, Angela, in your, in this, in your career in interacting with corporates, what are those major soft skills gaps that you have found, and what do you think should be done?
Yeah, definitely a lot of gaps in the soft skills department. But just to go from the panelists, actually there is a study that was done with doctors that the higher percentage of doctors that are being sued, they're not sued because they actually don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know really well what they're doing, but they are sued because of a lack of soft skills of communication, or how actually they create eye contact or they turn to their patient.
That's right.
It's not about the many years they spend in the school. They're not getting sued for that. Not for the medicine they're providing, but actually how they approach people. And so that's a really important thing to understand. And with that, we need to focus not just about understanding yourself, which is number one. Number one is understanding yourself, right? Self-awareness, really important, because if you don't understand yourself, there's incongruency with what you're thinking or what you're feeling. And everything you're feeling will show up in your nonverbal communication. So if you're not congruent and you're not understanding yourself, obviously you're already sabotaging yourself. But after that, what's happening after you understand yourself, after you become self-aware, how then you communicate? Are you aware that if you are sitting and you're centering yourself, or you're showing your palms, what you like, and you're speaking like this with people, versus if you're speaking like this with people, if you're speaking like this with people, you will like me very differently. You would not like me if I'll be talking to you like this. But you will like me if I talk to you like this. You will like me more because what? I'm not bringing weapons. I'm showing open hands. I'm coming in peace. So communication have many channels. So that's what's body language. But we also have facial expressions. How many of you are aware of facial expressions? You're all in the field of education. So there are expressions, there are face, there's body, there's verbal content, there's verbal style, there's tone, there's psychophysiology, the changes of the colors. All of those things are channels of communications that we not ever learn about. And we should be learning about. And maybe not to the degree that everybody should be developing to be a behavioral analyst like myself or work in the police. That's maybe not our goal, but we're at least understanding. When I work with people in technology, when they are crossing their hand and leaning back, if I know for them they are self-soothing, they're leaning back to actually reflect and listening, but if in school or otherwise I learned that this means reserve, we have a big problem. But at the same time, if I know all of you understand this is reserve, I should not be doing that, right? So we need to teach those skills. We need to teach those skills in all the universities, but at the same time, I have to say, because a lot of us are parents here, I think the way to get to school, and I think the way to start with all those is we as parents have to start teaching those skills to our kids, so then they will have a push and a demand on universities to bring it in.
That's right.
That's a wonderful point.
Give her a round of applause. It's a great panel.
No,
I know you're continuing. I know, but I want to just let you know that you guys, you could stay up here all day. I didn't mean to. My mic wasn't even working. I apologize for that. But it's really been intriguing. Please finish off your thoughts. I don't want to rush you, so my apologies. I always like to get the information. I thought it was a great, poignant point. Bring it home, parents, teachers.
Amazing.
Right? You know it. That's our word of the event. Okay, continue. No,
That
finish
was
it
a
off.
wonderful point. When the parents, they are the ones who are paying the fees, right? And if they are the ones who start demanding, this is what my kid is going for and this is what I want. But the fact is that the parents need to be aware first and to ask for it. So you have a lot of work to do, Angela.
I need all your help.
Of
so
course.
if anybody can help and communicate and connect, so we all here for that, right? To
Yes.
get that world and education and awareness to everybody. So let's work together to make
Yes.
all of this happen.
Good, get that going, go. Yeah. Now, I would like to invite Andrew. Andrew is a leader of a personality development institute where he also teaches and facilitates along with being the founder of that organization. And Andrew, do you think we are all talking about this should be done, this should be done. What is your opinion? How can this be done? Can the universities and the schools actually bring soft skills in the curriculum, and how can they address this?
Okay, if we're talking about soft skills, there are many soft skills that we need to approach, right? But I would like to say three major soft skills. One, communication. One of my mentors once mentioned to me that presentation kills the presenter. How many of you these days we are very, very common with having online discussions, online meetings, and we got bored simply because of the PowerPoints that are too wordy, while the presenter itself is just like, okay, number one, we are talking about blah, 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 and everyone got those off, It's especially after lunch. Whoa! you know, that happens online, that could also happen offline. So they need to, the schools, universities need to teach the presenters to present, not just to create the slides. Because like creating the slides will be secondary. But what matters is not the presentation, but the presenter. Okay? If Rachel cannot do her job properly, she would not get paid, right?
I wouldn't get hired either.
You would get hired. So we all believe that Rachel did a very good job in
Thank you.
doing it.
Thank you,
MC,
thank you,
right?
thank you. Awesome.
So I'm pretty sure that this vibrant energy needs to come out from every presenter, and that's what every school, universities should emphasize on their children, on their students, and also the corporate worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, doctors. I once I came to a doctor's meeting because I had to speak there, and I felt like I'm the most stupid guy in the room because I couldn't understand whatever the doctors were presenting with all those terminologies. But apparently, not just me. Everyone got bored with the presentation.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the second skill that we need to address is leadership. Not just the superficial leadership, but the leadership that really manage the people, not just the result, not just the task or assignments, but manage the people, dealing with negotiating with team members, how to cope up with the unproductive team members. That's that kind of leadership that we need to address. Okay, and the third part is the resilience. I mean, like almost every school in the world now is competing on the GPAs, right? But a lot of successful people out there got low GPAs than others. Why? Because of their resilience of whenever they fail, they don't fail miserably. I mean, like they might fail miserably, but they always get up and get up and get up. We were born a failure, all of us. I mean, like nobody can come out from the womb and suddenly stand up or run. It would be scary, right? Whenever we learn to stand, we will fall. But there's no babies in the world that would think, oh, okay, I might fall again, so I don't need to get up. Every baby will learn to get up and fall again, and get up and fall again, and get up again. Yeah. I always like this quote from Christopher Nolan's Batman. I mean, like it's very famous, I believe. Why do we fall, Bruce? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up again. That's who we are. We are resilient beings.
Absolutely. Amazing.
So those three soft skills that we need to address in every students.
Incredible. We got leadership, right? Presenting and perseverance.
Yes.
Yeah, resilience.
Resilience.
Yes.
And perseverance somewhere.
Yes,
I'll
and
throw in a
perseverance,
fourth
yes.
one,
Yeah,
Bam. A nice way to end the panel, guys. Amazing panelists. Thank you so much for moderating. Give them a round of applause. Excellent. As we're streaming live on YouTube, you guys done great. I'm just moving forward. We got other people to get on stage. I'm going to come over and get some mic time. If you feel you need to talk a little bit more about your expertise, I want to give it to you. So thank you so much for being patient and flexible with us as we try to give you a deep dive of a lot of content today. Round of applause for our panelists today. Thank you, guys.